just a boy. Christmas brought so much joy. Couldn't wait for the presents and laughter. I couldn't sleep late at night, looking for Santa with lights. Those are the memories I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am, but right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Hello, Star Wars fans. You know, there's just 286 days until Christmas 2023, and things look a little bit different today. My computer is in Houston, Texas, being worked on. And so I've got the laptop here today. The main monitor is not working. I've got a monitor on the side. I've got the laptop down below. And every so often I'll make eye contact with you. But, you know, I've got a couple of podcasts now. I jumped into the podcast arena. You can find us on YouTube Music. You can also find us out on all the other providers. We've got links to those in the description here. So you can find us in podcast format, in which everything will read just fine. So we have my friend Jason Ward with us today, and we've got a surprise guest.
Yeah, brother. Oh, sorry. I felt like I felt a surge of Hulkamania coming over me.
That was awesome. Little Randy Savage.
Yeah.
Macho Man.
Yeah, I don't like
Macho Man. So we've got Besping Bulletin. Besping joined us today. Thank you so much for joining us for our discussion today.
That's fine, man. It's always happy to be here. It's always fun to talk to you and Jason. So,
well,
that far. I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm trying to be nice, okay, Jason? I'm trying to be nice.
We were just talking. I know that there's food delivery coming. You got to be nice to him so that he will deliver the food, at least while it's still warm. You know, we don't want it to wait till it gets cold. And
if he's a good boy, I'm going to take the hair dryer. I'm going to put it on the wall. I think I'll have a little bit of heat tonight. A little bit, I'm going to keep him warm.
That sounds great. To me.
You know what I mean?
You know, it's all cold and wet down here. You know, like
and I just shovel in the food in this little like vent I've made, and I'm like, here's your food, Tina. That's what
he says it's a vent. It's not a vent. It's a crack in his floor. You know, it gets stuck in there, and I'm too short. I can't reach and get it.
I see.
I hit the wall after a Bad Batch episode, and that's what I use. So I got mad.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
I'm picking on you.
Oh my goodness. So I wasn't able to talk with you last week. We had work things getting in the way. I've got a bunch of work I got to get done this week as well. My computer's getting worked on. But Mandalorian season 2, or season 3, episode 2. Wow, what a great episode! Chapter 18. The Mines of Mandalore. I absolutely loved it, and I know there's been a lot of discussion about it. There's one thing I wanted to ask you two about it, and I had to go back and look, honestly. When Din was in the mines, he's going down the steps, and then he disappears under the water. Did he disappear under the water because he stepped off the edge and all that armor just drug him to the bottom? Or did he get yanked down there like the Dianoga on the Death Star that grabbed Luke Skywalker, yanked him under the water? What do you think? Was he yanked under by the mythosaur, or did he just slip off the edge?
I think he got yanked personally.
Yeah, I think it's a good yanking. You know,
it was a good yanking.
Yeah.
I think so
Doodle
too.
Dandy.
The mythosaur got a bit of a tug. You know,
the Dandalorian. Yankee Doodle Dandy.
A little bit of a tug. Not to be confused with Pabu that we learned the definition of yesterday on Jason's channel. We'll not talk about it today, but there's
No.
no, let's not. Let's not. Meg told us to look it up on the Urban Dictionary.
Yeah,
and boy, don't do it.
It's not the first one. It's like the second one, the second definition on Urban Dictionary.
Right.
If you're wondering.
Right. Yeah. But so I went back and I watched very carefully.
Yeah.
Because some people were saying, well, there's actually more steps underneath. When you see Bo dive in, you can see there's more steps under the water. Well, that's somewhat true, but there's not a lot. And then after that, there is a big drop off, but then you see like a rock formation kind of sloping quickly down, and she's jetpacking. Now, she was following him by maybe 3 seconds. Like, it was quick, right? She just jumps in there and she's jetpacking down.
He would not have fallen that as fast as she jetpacks down, I wouldn't think.
Right, because he makes
because
it
she
all
would
the
be
way.
falling. She would be falling naturally at the same rate of gravity as he would, and then she has a jetpack too. So I think that, and also though, what we're actually dealing with here is the logistics of that monster not having hands to grab somebody and pull them down. If you want to overthink it, it doesn't actually truly make sense how it would do that unless it got it in his mouth and shoved them on the floor, in which case it would probably hurt him and all this stuff. So you just got to kind of roll with it.
I agree. I think he got pulled to the bottom, and he's laying flat on his back on the bottom, out. Like she's jetpacking out away from the edge and down, and she finds him at the bottom all the way down there. So I think that he had help getting to the bottom that quickly, and she would have passed him on the way if he was just like, floating down. Plus, he'd be resisting the pull to the bottom. So I think it's just plenty of evidence that he was helped to the bottom. He didn't just Beskar plunge.
No,
to the bottom.
I think the actual big question at this point is: does Din know that the mythosaur was there, or is Bo-Katan the only observer of this? Because he's flat on his back, and it seems like he's knocked out when he's down there. And so
he'd remember getting pulled, right? You'd assume.
Yeah, but does he know? Does he know what grabbed him and like what incapacitated him or not? And does he remember what happened to him? Like, because that's what I'm kind of we're not worried about. But moving forward, is she the only witness, or are they both witnesses to the thing coming back? Because that might put her in opposition to people in the future. She's like, Mythosaur came back. It said hello to me, everybody. I'm the one. It's me. And everyone's gonna be like, did you see it? He's like, I don't know, I was sleeping. So, you know what I mean? There might be some contention there that brings everybody back to witness it.
But he could confirm that there's something in the waters. Like there is a living creature there, something significant pulled him down.
Yeah, he'd be on her side. Yeah, I think he would be on her side. But if you're like the armorer and you're like, full of yourself and talking about like prophecies and stuff, you're probably going to be like, prove it, homie. But who knows?
Right. And was there a third or a second creature? Right. So the mythosaur, for sure, he's there. But was there another creature that could have done it, or will we just?
Oh, that would be ridiculous. Mythosaur's there, and his friend Stu. I'm the Stewosaur. Yeah, Stu helps out. Stu helps out Mythosaur, and Mythosaur feeds Stu. Like that would just be ridiculous.
I agree with you. I think we can deduce that Din was helped to the bottom by the Mythosaur. I think that's it.
It should be seen as a mystical moment, I think, more than a logical moment at the same time. You know what I mean? Like Jonah and the whale. Do you sit there and do you break it down, or do you take it down as a mystical moment? I think it's a mystical moment for that.
Very good.
Yeah.
So I think that's involved. I saw another video. I think Sheev the Wise did. Our good friend over
even Sheevens, as I call him,
was speculating. I don't think the Mythosaur chose a champion. Like you're my champion. Here, go to the bottom of the water, or you're not my champion. I put, throw you to the bottom of the water. I don't think the Mythosaur was making a choice of who the next leader of Mandalore should be.
I have a take on that.
Yeah,
and it's that initially when they're when they're when they're, to use the term, right with God, so to speak, and everything's good, the Mythosaur's there and it's a part of them. But as they turn their back on the way, so does the Mythosaur. And then by the time we get to Bo-Katan's time, they're like, that thing's a myth. It's not really real. I don't believe any of this garbage. Nobody's seen the Mythosaur in hundreds of years. You know what I mean? And then after the eradication of the planet by the Empire, everybody's gone, and and now they're starting to come back. The Mythosaur has now come back and is now waiting for the people to return. And when they do, it's Din who goes in the water, and he's of pure heart, if you will. And then it's there to see him. So I think that's like the symbolic nature of the narrative and what's happening in that moment. And for her, it's an awakening. Like, she also goes in the water and she's awoken by the baptism at the same time. So I think that's sort of like the visual language and the deeper, like, mythical tones that it's trying to, like, press on the narrative. I don't know if it works or not, but that was my reading of it.
Well, Obsession asked if maybe it was due to hearing the Darksaber. Like, ooh, I hear the presence of the Darksaber. Let me go check what's going on over there. Maybe he's drawn to that.
I like that.
Ground, right?
What was that? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
He takes her all off, right, before he gets tugged.
I think Obsession would be implying that the Mythosaur would have heard the Darksaber up when it's fighting the monster man in the crab beetle machine upstairs. But the narrative doesn't actually give us any hints on that's connected to it from in that episode anyway.
No, and it's clearly that he's not trying to intimidate and pose a threat, because once Din gets tugged, Bo goes down, they make eye contact. There's no threat.
Yeah,
it's just let his presence be known. And in my opinion, I think Bo will be and should be the ruler of Mandalore. And maybe the Mythosaur, to some extent, recognizes that.
Yeah. And at first, like I had scoops about what happens to Bo on the back end, and and I made an assumption based off of this various things that they would be in opposition to the Mythosaur. I think they do go after it. But I'm thinking that she's going to be I think she's going to write it in the end. I think that's going to be like the moment where you could have a dumb little lightsaber that you fight off Moff Gideon all day long. But when you're writing that thing, nobody can. At that point, you got clout for life, I think.
Yeah. With I mean, you've discussed this before, Jason. Our theories for the future of the season, not based on leaks or anything, just theories. Our theory was at the time was that Moff Gideon will confront Din once again on Mandalore. Probably best him for the Darksaber, because obviously it was his plan to have Din beat him last time around.
Yeah. And she should have got it back. She should have got it back in that moment, and they didn't. They didn't give it to her. So that's setting up something.
Yeah. She then, like, best Gideon in that moment. Eventually will ride the Mythosaur, I believe. She is then the rightful ruler of Mandalore. There's no dispute.
Yeah. I think she's going to bust through that ice lake at the end on the Mythosaur from under. I think during that fight, she's going to go down into the mines. She's going to meet Nessie. She's going to get on Nessie, and then she's going to come up through the surface of that ice lake in the final battle and be like, "Oh!" And everybody's like, "Oh damn, it's her!" You know. And Gideon's going to be like, "Oh no!" And he's going to just run out like old timey style, and that will be the end of the season. Right?
Nice.
I mean, that's essentially what's going to happen, I think.
Stephen Murphy asked, what do you guys think about the whole Marvel Reddit thing? Marvel leaks, right? Is it something you see changing things, or was it a group of people not being careful or smart, or what's the deal there with Disney really going after them? What did they do differently or wrong compared to what you guys are doing?
They posted a script. You don't post a script. You shared copyrighted material, and shared it on a forum.
Yeah.
If we hear something, it's hearsay. That's completely different. Yeah, it's paraphrased. What we're going to talk could be right or wrong. We're not publishing a transcript. Yeah, I've had questions about this all day, and I feel sorry for those guys over there. You know, it was fun to read, keep up with the Marvel stuff, but if you're gonna post that, you're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah, and like my take also is like I don't know what everybody else's situation is, but I'm in California, for instance. I have the California Shield Law. As a journalist, I don't have to give over any source to anybody legally. They can't make me unless like it's a life or death moment, unless it's 24 and I know the bomb deactivation code and I'm not giving it over. A federal judge could then force you to. Also, in our instance, we have done this for years. Lucasfilm is well aware of this. Lucasfilm has worked with us and stuff like that. So to come after us, for instance, would be a much different scenario and fight for them than it is in that instance. And I gotta say, I think it was a mistake on their part, depending on if it was just a deal to go away and we'll leave you alone, to shut down the subreddit. Because I think in doing so, they took away their voice to interact in the discourse around what's going on. If I were advising them, I would have said, no, keep that up. Keep that subreddit up and keep telling us what's going on, so it makes it not worth it for Disney to pursue and to talk about, and it's just not good. It's not worth it. And at the end of the day, like, that thing to me looks like that movie sucked. That movie bombed, and somebody's trying to throw a hissy fit and blame it on something other than themselves and their bad script.
And it's Ant-Man. That's the script that was leaked. So the question was that.
As well with Marvel, like on that subreddit, there's been tons of leaks. People that do what we do, you know, in hearsay, information we get, like, oh, it might be shooting in this place, it might be filming here. Oh, this is where I heard about this particular scene, wherever it might be. Marvel have done this as well, like the Marvel subreddit. There's far more Marvel leakers than there's Star Wars leakers, especially good ones. So it's a normal thing. It's just that you posted copyrighted material. This is going to happen. If I did that, if I tweeted it or posted it on the website, that'd be a problem. So if anybody's ever going to try and get into this sort of industry, don't do that. You know.
This goes back to 2002. T-Bone Star Wars Universe was like the original version of me and Bespin. He was like the real deal back then. That wasn't a bunch of people. The Force.net had its like 15 minutes of fame and then lasted forever on it. But T-Bone was the one who was really doing the legwork and really getting stuff confirmed and real stuff. Well, one of the things that was happening was back then they would take call sheets like for like Attack of the Clones, and they would film, and Anakin would be like, "Oh, Padme, keep my luggage. I got your luggage." And then they filmed it. They would take their call sheets, crumple them up, and throw them in the trash. And there were fans would go around and actually dig in the trash and get the call sheets out. And in doing so, they started to assemble like an actual script of like the location shoot in Italy and in different places. And one guy actually went into the trash at Lucasfilm, which is a totally different story. And he got jail time for that, or I think he got jail time for that. But anyways, T-Bone starts going and he starts posting like exterior Naboo, whatever, and then like, you know, I'm afraid of what she'll do, and he starts posting like actual script points. That's when a friend of his at Lucasfilm contacts him and says, "Hey, T-Bone, they're talking about suing you for posting parts of the script." So since around 2001 to before Attack of the Clones, we've known you don't post the script. You don't post direct, like you could get away with like something that you just saw and you have memorized, like, but when you're talking like actually like 10 pages of a script, that's when you start to get into like you didn't memorize that. That's not just something that you learn. And that's the other thing, is we don't live in communist China. If I'm walking down the street in Hollywood and somebody's like, "Hey man, I saw Darth Vader. He says, 'I'm what remains.'" I'm like, "Really? He says that?" "Yeah, that's what he says." "Cool, thanks, bud." And I'm walking in and I go on the internet and I say it. The secret police can't come and get me.
That's what I was going to point out. Like people who get drone cameras, all right, and they get pictures offset that they get high enough they can use a drone to look over That's fair game. You're not going to get.
It's complicated though. Like for instance, out in El Segundo, where you could put a drone and look at the Mando set. I don't do that, and you want to know why? There's an airport. LAX is not far away from there, and I don't think you're allowed to fly drones there.
Yeah, it's the same in the UK. When Andor season 1 was filming, some of my friends, they went to an oil refinery and considered sending a drone up, and they got talked by security and was like, "Hey, you're not allowed to do this airspace. Like, considering what this building is, you're not allowed to do that." And they said fine and walked away. They had no issues, no problems with them. So it is dependent on the airspace.
Right. And RF Gaming Channel says, I remember when the Attack of the Clone script leaked, I was thinking there was no way. Yeah, it leaked through Operation Sombrero, which was a forum at the time. Yeah.
I know we're a little limited on time, but I want to touch base on a couple other things. Obsession's talking about the motivation of Bo with that darksaber. We see Bo with the darksaber really masterfully taking care of business, right? She has no problems with it at all. Din still can't barely lift the thing, and he's swinging it around like it's a club, right? He has no idea how to use it. He's terrible. Bo she has no problems at all. There was some thought of, did she earn it back by defeating the critter that defeated Din, but I don't think it was lost in combat that way. So the darksaber still, I think, by creed belongs to Din, but there's no beef between Din and Bo over this darksaber. I mean, she wants it, but she's not willing to kill him for it. He wants to give it to her, but he's not allowed to just give it to her. So
he's not allowed.
There's got to be a way that she earns it by creed.
You're gonna earn it, girl.
But I don't think she's gonna like take him out to do it. I don't think there's anything like that.
I think she just used it for over the years. I think she's trained in it. She knows how it works. Like the armorer is training him how to use it. I don't think there's a mystical reason that it works for one guy and not another guy. You know, that kind of thing.
I also think it's showing us as a viewer like who should be in control of it. Like if they want to set up this narrative by the end of the season that Bo should be the rightful ruler of Mandalore, with the Darksaber and with the Mythosaur, you need to show how competent she is as a fighter with the Darksaber. All Din wants is redemption and to be part of the Creed. Like he's never had ambitions to rule Mandalore, but Bo does, and it's a birthright in many ways. Like she's royalty.
And speaking of royalty, a lot of times in royalty, to establish a relationship between two different nations, you'll marry off your princes and princesses to each other, so that you get this united front. So if it's England not getting along with France, well, we'll just marry our prince to your princess. They'll be king and queen, and now we're friends. Or
then eventually got a bunch of derpy Mando kids.
Or Russia and France actually did that a number of times. England has done that before as well. But what are the chances you unite Mandalorians by taking somebody who follows this creed like Din does, and somebody who is of royalty like Bo is, and they get married, and you get a united Mandalore, king and queen of Mandalore? Do you hate it?
I'm not about it. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I just want Bo to rule on her own at this point.
Yeah, a bunch of manservants. Maybe I could be one, every now and then.
You gotta love our chat. You guys are doing great.
But I mean, don't get me wrong. If I were him, I'd marry her, go down to Sears, maybe grab something. I don't know, start a life. But I mean, that could be an ending to it all. But I don't really get like romance between them. I don't really get like sexual tension. In fact, I would say there was more sexual tension with the first episode with Cara Dune which wasn't really a thing, but it was kind of like they did the Mr. and Mrs. Smith thing for a second, and then they moved on from it.
Even the 4th episode of The Mandalorian, where he meets Cara Dune, you know, that I can't remember her name, the character who tries to take off his helmet. She clearly has affection for him, and I believe him for her. Yeah. When all this is done, I'd like for him to retire and go and live a happy life with her.
Yeah, that's what I would do. You know? And get those villagers some new clothes, because those clothes suck.
I think that it would be good to have them together going forward, Bo and Din as a couple, and with Grogu as their kiddo. You got a family unit there, and they move forward.
That to me is like it starts to feel cringy when it's like we're all a space family. You know what I mean? Like at the same time,
that's okay. I'm good with it.
No, I want like, all right, my work here is done. Sorry, ladies. Me and my little green son gotta go on more space adventures. We ain't got time for love, Dr. Jones. Boom. That's where I'm at.
Hey, there are some stories going around about Mandalorian Season 3's watch numbers. Who's watching? Who's not? Is it doing really well? Does it suck? Is it? How's it doing watch numbers wise? And I know our friend Besping, you follow that more closely than I certainly do. Bring us up to speed on what's going on there.
So there's been a report through the Wrap via Samba TV. It's worth mentioning the Samba TV only monitors 25 million TVs in the States. That's the only data they pull it from. But it's a great sample size, and it definitely informs the wider audience. And it has been throughout the years. I've watched it for years, kept up with it. The other good one is Plum Research. They haven't put out any data as of this time, but what they're reporting is that The Mandalorian Season 3 viewership is down 28% when compared to Obi-Wan Kenobi for its premiere. It's the same thing with the Book of Boba Fett, but it's only marginal. It's only 2% behind Boba Fett. And then Disney's biggest series ever, the biggest premiere was Loki, which The Mandalorian Season 3 is 35% behind. All things considered, it's still a massive success. If you're just 2% behind Boba Fett, we know from Plum Research that Boba Fett, over the course of 90 days, reached around 30 million viewers. You can guess that The Mandalorian will reach roughly a similar point. Maybe more, maybe less. I think it depends on certain events that happen throughout the season. If there's big moments, like we've seen in the trailer, there's flashbacks, right, with Order 66. That could pull more viewers in. It could push it up, could put break down. I believe that Boba Fett had his viewership raised once Din came in, and Ahsoka and Luke. A lot more people probably tune in for those episodes, which bolsters the numbers long term. But people will, I think, try and paint a narrative that The Mandalorian Season 3 is a failure because it performed worse than Obi-Wan. But I think Obi-Wan is a special case. Though the show was divisive, you remember that's his premiere episode. Everybody went into those episodes with hope and optimism and didn't know what they were going to get. I like Obi-Wan personally, so I'm happy with what I got, but I know some people weren't, and they just didn't tune into the rest of the show, and that's fine. But a lot of casual viewers tuned in for that. A lot more people are familiar with Ewan McGregor and the prequels and seeing the return of a beloved character. And it's one of the most in-demand things that Star Wars fans wanted. Whether it be a show, whether it be a series, a film, for Obi-Wan, we've wanted it for years. You know, The Mandalorian never had that pull. It's a brand new show. It's bolstered Disney Plus. It's a flagship of Disney Plus. It birthed a phenomenon in Grogu. You know, it's culturally massive, and that's what we've got to take away from it. If you're only coming in behind Loki, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and literally 2% behind Boba Fett, then I think you're doing pretty well. Like, you're the 4th biggest show on Disney Plus, considering all the Marvel shows they've had released. You know, you look at something like Andor, which, you know, underperformed. You know, I believe that's how we went from 5 seasons to 3 to 2, is the viewership and interest in the series going forward. The Mandalorian doesn't have that problem. Even for his bringing this numbers, it's probably way above the first 2 seasons. When season 2 came out, Disney had less than 100 million subscribers. They currently have 168 million. viewership is going up. People are probably resubscribing for the Mandalorian.
Right.
So, I think this is steady. I think this is fine. But I know there's going to be a narrative painted that this is a failure, which it most certainly isn't.
Right.
And it's based off of numbers, off of US numbers. So things like we always talk about, cricket is a reason that like Disney Plus subscribers went down in total, because they lost cricket in India. Like a lot of people left with that, but that wouldn't apply to the sample size, because the sample size is US only, correct?
This is US only. Yeah.
And let's remember, as we were leading up to Andor, Mandalorian was, as a whole, was like number 2. It was like rising on streaming numbers that we saw reported on various sites. So Mandalorian was rising as people were doing rewatch. Its rewatchability is there.
Well, on this Samba numbers, if I understand correctly, they're unique views.
Well, now all I'm saying is that we have a large audience that kind of built in. There is a big cultural thing around Grogu and the Mandalorian. It's everywhere. And I would expect that it'll do just fine over time, whether it came out of the gate on fire or not. Maybe there is something to read in that it's disappointing for people who wanted it to be at the top of everything. But I don't think it's a failure by any means. That would be, I think, a ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah, it would be. And the big thing here that I keep seeing already is, it doesn't matter if you like Kenobi, or you think it's the best show or the worst show, or it is a piece of crap or not. It doesn't matter if you like the opening to Mando or you think it was crap or not. No one had seen it. There hadn't been bad reviews, and no one had seen it. So this is all about like going in almost blind by the general audience. Now, if the numbers fall off, that's like Andor had numbers fall off, right? Didn't Andor kind of fall and then start to pull back up, but not really significantly? Like that's a huge difference than what we're talking about here in the sample size. So people that want to make like value judgments, you're actually doing it. It's disingenuous to do that for the first episodes.
Yeah, and that's what I said earlier on about Kenobi. Say what you want about the show. I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people didn't, but it is the first 2 episodes that's counted. It's the first 2 episodes. It's before anybody saw any of it. Yeah, there was leaks, but seeing something on the screen is different to reading it on one of our sites or on Reddit.
Yeah, we weren't getting 2.5 million hits on Obi-Wan leaks, so it doesn't really apply.
The numbers for Kenobi apparently was around 11 million in its first 7 days, in total, and then I think Loki is close to 14. So obviously, again, this is just a sample size, but it is informed by a larger scope. It usually tells us what is going on with the general audience, with the viewership. This is fine, and Disney, they will release statements if something is doing extremely well. So in the case of Black Panther Wakanda Forever recently, they shared a statement saying it is their most watched Marvel premiere by minutes watched on Disney Plus.
Right.
Minutes watched is a key one. So something like Obi-Wan, that came out, and the statement they wrote was it's their most watched Disney Plus original. That includes Marvel, includes everything else, by minutes watched. Kenobi had 2 episodes, so you've got to factor in 2 episodes into the minutes watched.
That's true. That's a very good point.
Whereas Loki came out with 1 episode, and that's touted as their biggest hit on Disney Plus through unique viewership. So that's individuals, different households, just counted as 1. Doesn't matter if me and Jason and Santa rewatched the episode 5 times in a week; they don't count it. And that's what's to take away from this as well. Even if the Mandalorian released 2 episodes, it wouldn't have counted towards how successful it would have been in terms of unique viewership. That still would have just been minutes watched. And again, the 2 episodes of The Mandalorian are shorter than the first 2 episodes of the book of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So even in terms of minutes watched, it likely wouldn't have even reached that. But I do think Obi-Wan is a special case. You got all the nostalgia, all the love, how recognizable the character is in himself.
He's a legacy character. Yeah.
100%. Like, look at Boba Fett. Look at the success of the book of Boba Fett. He's a legacy character. People know who he is. And you injected that series with Din and Grogu later on. And Ahsoka, and more importantly, Luke Skywalker, who is very recognizable to an audience. I think this is fine. I don't think it's anything to worry about. And somebody, I think it was Baymax in the chat, asked me if he thought they took Andor down from 3 seasons to 2 based off of viewership numbers. I don't know if they did it for that reason, but I think I said this to Jason when it happened.
Yeah.
The first season was delayed with the interest. In August, it was going to come out sandwiched between the Lord of the Rings series and the Game of Thrones series. That's a bad window for it.
Mm-hmm.
You delay it a month, it's got it's easily more marketable in that sense. But again, I think Disney saw the interest in that series. Lucasfilm saw the interest. They've seen the numbers, and they can't justify. This is an expensive show. They can't justify doing 5 or 3 seasons of this if they're not getting the return. Like, merchandise is basically non-existent for something like Andor as well. Right. Me and Jason were begging for there to be Fortnite skins, and they never gave it to us.
Didn't do it. They don't. I can't be Bix. That's all I want to do is just be Bix all day.
I want to be Bix. I want to run behind him. But,
it's a third-person game.
It's a third-person game. But so there's things to factor into it.
I have a theory. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to reiterate the Andor point.
Yeah, no, I have a theory that when we were looking at those court documents for Acolyte, because Acolyte was supposed to start and then it didn't start either, and it kind of runs concurrently with what's going on with Andor. And I have a theory that it's a working theory, I'd say, that Andor ends up getting cut down to the 2 seasons, and that allows Acolyte to grow, and that's where they go and they divert the resources to Acolyte, and that's why Acolyte didn't start originally, why you had producers coming on at the midnight hour and all of that stuff, because that's when that show all of a sudden now needed to be multiple seasons as opposed to a one and done. Let's see. It's always do one and see what happens, but they clearly, those documents show that they are planning more than 1 season for sure. They have a season 1 Bible inferring that because season 2 content is.
They say as well that they have a series. They have a season 1 Bible and a series overview.
Yeah.
And again, around the time that happened, it was April 2022, right? It's in the documents.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, we knew people who expected to work on that show in pre-production. I think it's from November, and by February, a lot of people were no longer doing that series.
Yeah.
That series was supposed to begin filming in May of 2022 at Pinewood Studios. It got delayed till October 2022, and obviously filming wraps up next month. But something changed with the Acolyte as well. You're bringing on this producer 1 month before the season was due to start filming, and then they're writing on the project. I think the rewrites happened. You'd assume that's why there was more than likely a delay in production. I don't think that's a bad thing. But also in terms of numbers, the Acolyte is far more marketable than Andor is. You've got a show based off of lightsabers and the Force and
dark side
implication of the dark side. Yeah, something people have been asking for, like Star Wars fans, for a long time. It's easier to tell a show about a girl with a lightsaber than it is just Andor.
Diego Luna's a foxy dude, but I don't know if he's really gonna bring the same thing that Amandla Stenberg is gonna on that Besping Bulletin featured image. Jesus.
Now I know Besping, you've got dinner coming. It may be there. I want to respect your time and let you go if you need to. Real quick though, we've got episode 3 coming tonight. What are your thoughts? What are your predictions for what will happen tonight?
Obviously, I think we're going back to the planet that his group is on. There's a leak out there saying something might happen. We obviously don't know the validity of that. But it's an hour-long episode. Apparently, it's 56 minutes or something thereabouts, right? I think Din's got to go. He's got to prove he has Bo with him. I'd assume. I think we've seen images. They look like they're both on that planet at some point. To prove that he has been redeemed. He did bathe in the living waters. Bo's I think she's gonna tell him about the mythosaur. And I think there might be conflict then between the two groups with their ideals. But yeah, I've got an open mind for this episode. I know a lot of people are speculating about Boba Fett based off of a writer on this episode, correct?
Yeah.
I don't remember the writer's name, but he worked on the Book of Boba Fett. But it's also worth mentioning he was a staff writer on the first 2 seasons as well.
Yeah, which means if like Jon Favreau was there and he's like, that line's not working, and then that was the guy who would go and like write it, or if they said write this, he was the one who would write it down.
Yeah.
some different form of that.
Yeah, there might be conflict with the Darksaber in this episode. That's obviously speculation, but yeah, because again, like you brought up the Bo thing, would they see that as Bo should be the ruler, which she rejected again?
You brought up a really good point. Like I remember that picture. It was like in Variety or Hollywood Reporter, and one of those right before it came out, where you see Bo and Din sort of on a beach with Grogu in the pram between, and and that would fit into the story now, right? Exactly as you said.
Yeah.
So,
and me and Jason, again, just based off of like what we know about the season later on and the footage we've seen throughout the trailers and promos, we've tried to piece together the season. We always knew that this would be the episode that they'd have to go back, especially when we knew the plot of last week's episode before it came out. I try to piece the season together. You know, the last 2 episodes are probably back on Mando. It's probably a conflict with the mythosaur, probably the Empire and Gideon and so on. You know, episode 4, you maybe expected it to be the pirates. You know, the conflict on Navarro. Get that done before they continue their quest back to Mandalore.
Do we think Pershing is the B story, or do you think Pershing is being pushed to next week or future episode?
I think it's a future episode. I'm kind of the mind. Again, this isn't informed. This is just my own theory, but I kind of think he might get in his own episode.
Yeah,
like an episode specifically centered on Coruscant, where we'll see his thing with the stuff of Gideon. You know, we also saw footage in the trailer of Carson Teva, right, speaking with somebody off screen, who we speculate is more than likely Mon Mothma. I think that perhaps we'll see an episode dedicated to the situation on Coruscant. It may open with Din and following them. It may end with Din and them, but I feel like that fits its own story. But no, because all we've seen as well of Pershing is on that planet, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
We've seen absolutely nothing of Gideon.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything of Gideon. There was a you know that story I had about Gideon getting new armor. I think that was confirmed yesterday on the back package of those blind bags, or those little things where you buy those little bags and you could get like the toys. There's there's one and he has a Mando with horns and it's a question mark on it.
So real quick, my daughter Kayla K-Million here. She just popped into the chat out in Kansas City. They just moved there. They're getting settled into their apartment out there. So any of you folks out in the Kansas City area, my daughter now lives in that out there.
Kansas City.
It's good to see you, Kayla. Thanks for stopping in. And I put up the picture of the not Boba.
Not Boba.
Right? This is the not Boba Fett.
I think Meg said the person, I could be wrong, but she said that the person who confirmed or who thought that Boba Fett was in the trailer, she talked to that person. They said that was the person that I saw and it wasn't Boba Fett.
Yes, not Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So there is no confirmation if Boba Fett will be in the series. I would put that low on the probability.
Low confidence.
Yeah, very low confidence. Very, very low confidence. So
especially as we've been back to Tatooine already now, you know?
Yeah.
Like
there would have been that moment where they would have set something up for the next part of that in that moment, right?
Mm-hmm. You would have thought so. I know she makes a joke about Boba Fett and Peli, but from based off of trying to piece together the rest of the season, I don't see how you go back to Tatooine.
And I think
further the story.
That might have been a hint, by the way, about what's going to happen in the next Boba Fett. The Hutt's return, the Hutt's back.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that may be throwing out a Book of Boba Fett 2 morsel. Maybe not.
So, also, we do know as well that Tamir Morrison at the time was very busy filming a different show. Was that in New Zealand he was filming when Mandalorian was taking place?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he could have done just voiceover work, just what Pedro does each season. But yeah, and also another thing to mention, just for season 4, by the way, is he confirmed, Pedro Pascal confirmed that The Last of Us season 2 may begin filming by the end of the year. Jason's story is that the Mandalorian season 4 will film in October, and we'd assume it wraps up as it usually does around March, right?
Yeah.
Principal photography, anyway.
That's how it's always been.
The Last of Us, this season, it filmed for 11 months, which means if it's the case, you can expect Pedro not to be in the season again very much going forward. Helmet on, the narrative of this season 3. Obviously building up into season 3, throughout season 2. He was getting to know different Mandalorians, what it meant to be a Mandalorian. And I felt like they would get to a point where he could take his helmet off. But Pedro Pascal, he's become a very, very busy man in the past 12 months.
Picking out ascots, all kinds of busy stuff.
I think it came out the other day. He is currently the most popular man on the internet. So
there's the picture.
Even more popular than me?
Well, he's the daddy, Jason.
Oh, okay.
You may be a real life daddy.
Yeah.
Daddy energy.
That's why I thought we had like the same thing going on.
Santa's got the BDE energy. Pedro Pascal, he's got the daddy energy. Me, I've got the Costanza energy.
There you go. So there's the picture Besping was talking about, the Mando and Bo with the pram in between. I agree with you. I think you made a really good point. This seems a natural fit into tonight's episode. And as far as predictions go, I would lean into that and kind of stray away. The other part that was brought up, are we going to go to when are we going to go to Coruscant, and when are we going to see that whole storyline? My personal take on it is later, not tonight. I agree with you there as well. So,
hey Santa, if Bo-Katan gets pregnant with Din Djarin's baby, and they're going to have the baby, at some point, does she look to Grogu and say, "We love our human baby more. I think you should go back to Luke"?
No,
I think she does it. I think she'd be a mean stepmom. I don't think she'd be a good stepmom. I think she'd be real bad. So watch what you wish for, buddy. Watch what you wish for.
Is it Bo Din or Din Bo?
Bowden. I like Bowden.
Bowden.
Yeah.
And is it Djarin Krisi or Katam Djarin Krisi? How do you hyphenate that last name? That's good.
Djarin. We'll just combine them.
Din Chris Kattan. Chris Kattan's in there somehow. I don't know.
Excellent. All right. Well, Besping, again, I know. Are you good to stay? You need to go eat your dinner.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a move. But it was great to come on and talk to you both. It's been a laugh. It's been a good time.
I really appreciate it.
Have a good rest of the show, guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.
That was great. Jason, thanks for bringing Besping in. I appreciate that. So for tonight's episode,
good boy.
He can have his dinner now. You can shovel it in the little crack in the floor.
That's what he gets. It's a candy cane. Go on Santa's show, you get a candy cane.
That's true.
Nibble it, Nibbles. Yeah, we call you Nibbles. We call you Nibbles. He likes that.
What's your prediction for tonight?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm on the same page with that for the most part. I kind of because of the length of the episode, though, I am sort of the opinion that usually the Jon Favreau writing style doesn't go too deep or too far that you would need 56 minutes, unless it was action-based fighting a dragon, which has kind of already happened. You know what I mean? Like we've already kind of gone there a few times. I don't think that's going to be in the next episode. So my prediction, not based off of anything, but just it kind of makes sense. I think the Coruscant stuff may be our B story. So I kind of think that we may get like 30 minutes of Mando and the Mando story, and maybe 20 something minutes, based off of Coruscant and the freeing of Gideon. whether it happens or not. I that's kind of
setting it up.
Yeah,
start to set that storyline up.
Yeah, because
right.
they work really episodically, like in terms of even the structure of the moments in Mando itself. So I don't see you doing 50 something minutes like of just the Mando stuff. That's where I get like skeptical, but I don't think it necessarily feels like it makes as much natural sense based off of the flow of the narrative so far. So
let me set up a scene for you. Din Djarin is standing at a little altar. Okay. And he's got his helmet on. He's been baptized. He's been redeemed. He's standing there at the altar. And then we see the Priam come down the aisle, and Grogu's tossing petals of flowers out onto this walkway. And then everybody stands up, and here comes Bo in her new Mythosaur inspired armor.
And we have Mythosaur wedding dress.
Yes.
No.
It'll be all white. Yeah.
No. No, that lady isn't wearing all white. I doubt that. You see how she sits? She's not proper. She does what she wants. But
that's great. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think that makes sense. It all fits together. We can introduce the story for freeing Moff Gideon. We see what's going on with Pershing, perhaps in a beeline. But I wouldn't expect that to play out tonight. I don't know. They're moving pretty quickly. You got 8 episodes. Episode 3, if you introduce it, episode 4 could be full-blown Gideon's escape. The chase is on, that kind of thing.
Right.
Dawn turns off the stream shots. No.
No, Xena, no. Yeah.
I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, because like and then based off of just like the little what we know kind of has to go down. Like there's been an assumption that the Gideon stuff is gonna end with or have him have the helmet in the episode where we get Gideon back. I don't think that makes sense. So I think you got Gideon getting sprung, whichever way it happens, and then you have Gideon with the helmet going for revenge. And then you got, we know that there's various clans that need to be brought in still, that need to kind of sort of be unified at some point. Yeah. And so there's still because if you think about it, we're already a quarter way through the series right now, through the seson.
Yeah, that's what I was
2
thinking.
episodes a quarter. I mean, it
goes quick.
Yeah,
and if the final 2 episodes, let's just say, I don't think we have any confirmation that it's a 2-part finale. I just speculate. If the finale is the whole ordeal on Mandalore with the Mythosaur, all of that, if that's the finale, then that's half the season. You've got 4 episodes in the middle to play out what's going on with Gideon, the Empire, this the rest of the season.
Yeah. There's not really 8 episodes is not a lot.
There's another thing that you spoiled a long time ago, so we'll get into some spoilery discussion here. Let me put it up here just in case. This is old news. This is not new news, folks. This is really old news.
Old scoops.
Old.
Recontextualized, maybe.
These are 2022 scoops. They're that old. Look.
Back when Kenobi was just a spry young series about to hit those mean streets of Disney Plus.
Grogu is going to get an interface with IG-11.
Mm-hmm.
That's happening.
I'm surprised at how early that started getting set up in this season. That's the other thing about this season, though. It's I know about when it goes down. I thought, anyways. but like they started setting it up like super early, and all of the various threads that like I had started getting set up early this time. Like the Mythosaur, I knew was a big thing from the finale, and then here we are, like the Mythosaur is like being talked about like right away, and like
boom, episode 2, there he is.
Yeah, I mean it's teased though. It's not the same as what we're gonna get.
Well, sure.
But it's like so this season's written way more deliberately than the past seasons where it's just and then it's like it's there. There's more therefore stuff going on.
So they've really set up. We've got a repaired IG-11 that needs this circuit board. Circuit board doesn't exist. It's not available. Not going to happen. Yeah. Well, how do you animate an IG-11 that doesn't have the circuit board that needs animated? Yeah,
you give Grogu the control.
You give Grogu the control. That's exactly it. You just plug the pram right in, right? Like it just like any
and I'm not saying it goes like that. For the record, I don't actually know if that pram interfaces with it exactly.
It makes I'm right. I don't know. I'm just saying you could.
I'm just full disclosure. I don't actually know.
Right. I made that up.
Same thing with like the clan leaders. I got a dark skinned clan leader and an old clan leader, old white crusty dude, as he was called by people on the set. And then we got Christopher Lloyd, and I don't have the 100% smoking gun that old white crusty clan leader is Christopher Lloyd.
Right.
I never made that. I reported that, and then the Christopher Lloyd stuff came out, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's the double. And it does seem like it was the double. I'm betting on it being correct on that association being there, but I don't have the smoking gun that is the actual guy.
Right.
So circumstantial at this point.
I love you guys in the chat. You're the best. So if Grogu is then running the controls of the IG, they've already set that up, right? They've set it up that we can't get this control circuit board. They're not going to be able to get the control circuit board, and they're going to be the little Anzellans will be like the baby. Oh, the baby, and they'll put the baby in there, and that'll be that. Boom, he's got controls. It's a mech.
I mean, or it may be like they just hand it over, and then there's like a hilarious Gremlins like moment where Grogu does the wiring, because we have seen that like Grogu has done repairs, and they've started to do that kind of thing. So they might go full Gremlins on that too. You know, when
Christopher Lloyd is the Star Wars priest. He's going to officiate the wedding. Yeah, see, we've got this all figured out, Jason.
Man, Santa's always trying to get your lady, trying to marry you off and get you a proper tie.
How does the IG unit get from place to place? How does it fit into the Naboo starfighter? We've got we took the jump seat out, put R5D4 in there. And Grogu and the pram are in the cockpit with Din. So now where's IG go?
Bo-Katan has a minivan. That's literally just a space minivan. So Bo-Katan's ship is probably the answer to all of the logistical questions that we have there.
I could see Obsession turned around in his room just screaming at the wall. That's if you guys know Obsession, that's a thing he does. Stop it. So the minivan that goes perfect with the storyline. They get married, they got the kid, now they get the minivan.
Okay, we're rolling it back. It's a shaggin' wagon. She's got a shaggin' wagon, and you're in there, you're drinking a 6-pack of Bud in the back seat, listening to the modal nodes rock out because you can't buy a ticket because you're a broke Mando with no friends.
You could just kind of strap him to the back. I mean, it's a droid. Get yourself some bungees. Just bungee right on there.
Maybe R5 gets fired and it collapses down like a transformer and gets into the back of it.
Or like the B1 battle droids where the knees came up and all that, and into a nice little compact travel.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
But I do think like we're going to, if Bo and Din stick together for the rest of the season, I do think we just end up on her ship.
Aha. Perfect.
You know.
Yeah.
Because we've seen we know that R5 and Grogu are on it with her already. We've seen it. And then now that they've got Din, if they're going to stick together, I would imagine they all just go back to her ship, and then maybe the N1 stays on the surface of Mandalore just until they maybe just leaves it there. They've already killed all of the guys in the area. It's probably going to be okay.
Yeah, we travel in Bo's ship to get here. Absolutely. They left the N1 at Bo's castle.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, and Will Morgan's right. You just need one of those airbrushed paintings on the side of the van
of a mythosaur, of like a mythosaur with like big ones. You know what I mean? Because it's the 70s.
No, I think you're onto something there, and we know there's a chase coming with Bo's ship,
right?
With the TIEs,
the TIE fighters.
So I think you're onto something. Now we travel. It's Bo's ride is how we're moving around now.
Yeah. And like I wonder why they're being chased. When they're being chased, are they on the Mandalorian covert planet or are they on Mandalore?
Right.
It looks like it's the covert planet, though, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, you get these ravines and things. It looks like the covert planet. Yeah, it doesn't have the glassy surface like Mandalore for sure. So
and then we know that we're going to have the Mandalorians back on Navarro in a fight on Navarro. We think against those pirates,
right?
So that's also coming up here. Maybe it's like maybe that's like the first thing that they have to deal with, and maybe like he asks for help and they go help, and then they deal with what's next.
I've been remiss. We had I haven't been shown the leaderboard for the. I'm on the computer. I didn't have it turned on and we've been. Oh, excuse me. We've been talking about Mandalorian. We do have a leaderboard. We have predictions. The predictions game. The link to it all over the socials. It's in Discord and all that. It's in the description here as well. So what we've talked about today, hopefully that helps inform your predictions. And you can also get onto the season leaderboard with our friends. And now,
maybe someday you'll beat me, the international champion. Look at me right there. I see MSW next to Star Wars Fits.
You made it. You made it onto you're on the season leaderboard, Jason. Not only
we cheated, though. We cheated. We cheated. We didn't earn it. We didn't guess well. We just cheated.
But you still have the chance, though. That's my point. Right, you're still in the running.
I'm still in. I'm still in.
Yeah, obsession. Tonight we unite the clans. I think we go to a clan meeting. No, shouldn't have said that way.
Oh, demonetized. Demonetized.
Not that kind of clan.
Not that kind.
Oh, God. Santa. No.
No, with these clans, the dark-skinned weirdo and the light-skinned weirdo come together. Different, totally different than those kind.
Different. Yeah. Santa. What? You got to watch how you say things, Santa. Jeez. Okay. So we also have another predictions game running with our Bad Batch, and we have Bad Batch tonight. It's episode 13 of the season.
The unlucky one. And
I don't have a real firm outline for this episode. The last two, I knew sort of what was happening. The next two, I sort of know what's happening, but I don't know what happens in this episode, what happens in the next episode. All I know is
Pabu happens is what happens.
Pabu happens, and if you know what that means, well, there's something.
Really?
Yeah, Man on the Moon, and that's how Santa was canceled. Yeah, exactly. Pabu, I don't know the outline for this episode. Yeah, does that mean you have a chance to beat Santa in the game this week? And you do. Yeah. We definitely do, because I'm guessing just along with anybody else what the story for tonight is. I could make some guesses. All right, my guess: we had a Crosshair centric episode. We see him at Mount Tantus at the end, right? We didn't have any. We didn't have any Bad Batch. Tonight we get Bad Batch.
What? Yeah.
That's all I can say. That's all I know. Are they going to go? Are they going to go to Mount Tantus? I don't think so. I don't think these storylines come together yet, because I know some other things that have to happen over the next couple of episodes. Crosshair.
What do we think is going to happen when they go to Mount Tantus? Do you think like Thrawn and
well, let's
going to walk out and it's going to be heir to the, but like I'm just saying though, like going to Tantus is not going to even if they did, it's not going to deliver anything. It's just going to be a mountain called Tantus.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
There are two things happening, right? One thing we know, Crosshair is there, and he's been a little. The luster has come off the Empire.
He's going to turn into RoboCop because he's going to be a Death Trooper.
I think that's where he's headed. I think so. But the Batch have no reason to go for him yet. They don't know what he's doing. They don't know what he's up to. They don't know he's there. They have no reason to try to go save Crosshair.
And okay, I have a theory for you. I have a theory you might like. Yeah. Remember when Rex and what's his name leave? They're probably going to discover that.
Perhaps.
And bring that back to the Bad Batch.
Again, I think I know how
he's our brother. He's a jerk, but we gotta save him.
I think I know how they learned that.
Okay.
Because of what I know is going to happen over the next two episodes. I think I know how they learned that, but that isn't in motion yet.
Okay.
Okay, that's not in motion yet. The thing that is in motion is the other thing. Omega. We know Omega is a high value interest to the Empire. The what's his name again? The poisonous dude, Dr. Hemlock. Dr. Hemlock. Yeah. Hemlock is now aware of needing to get Omega, right?
Okay.
And so there's going to be the chase is on, and I think the hunt for Omega has begun. I think there's going to be tonight what could be where that comes into play, where we start to see the chase is on. The Empire's after her. What's going on? The Batch don't know that they're after her. All of a sudden, somebody's after her, and maybe they get her, and then the Batch is after her. If they get Omega, and I don't know this, if they get Omega to Mount Tantus, Crosshair's at Mount Tantus, both of them are there. The Batch could end up there, not because of Crosshair, but because of Omega chasing the Empire that took her. That could happen.
On one hand, I keep wondering if they might take it into a way like remember, in Rogue One we got Mark Omega, and stuff like that. I'm wondering if potentially they do want her for a pure blood sample for the project, for the Death Trooper project or something like that, and then like that's why they're after her. But it opens up a lot of more questions if they go that way, because like number one, Boba Fett would have just sold his blood to them easy. Yeah, pay me, cool. And then so that would have solved it. And the other thing is they could just get another clone, another person to start working off of than Jango. There's other cool guys out there and ladies that they could use. But if that's where they go, I'm wondering if that's what it is. If they start the project on Crosshair, then run into some problems and are like, it's going to be easier just if we get the pure blood sample from this template, and then she's the one who they know of because of LSA and all that.
Yeah, and Obsession, they did find out about Omega already. from Lama Su. Lama Su's like, oh, you need to go get Omega. She's going to give you everything you need. So that's already happened, and now it's about finding her and tracking her down. Yeah, they don't. Lama Su didn't say she's with the Bad Batch. Go find them. You'll find her. They've got to figure that part out. They may get that from Crosshair, or they may just find out. In the course of investigating. But I think we could end up Pabu. I think Meg looked up the meaning of the name. It means ant, right?
That's not what she said it means on my show. Urban Dictionary says it means something way different.
Right. Well, I'm going with ant. So if Pabu is ant, who is ant? Nala Se is closest thing Omega has to a mom. Would she call her aunt Nala Se? Or she call her like mom?
Aunt Nala Se. If they'd already established that, it would be fine. If they start doing that now, it would be very strange. So all of a sudden go, oh, you're my auntie Nala Se. It's like, well, where was that in the first season? Where was that? Yeah. That would be very poor writing if that's what it is.
I'm trying to figure out who the aunt would be. I mean, certainly Sid's not calling herself their aunt.
But it doesn't mean that Pabu means that. Pabu doesn't mean that in Star Wars. Pabu means that in some culture. Doesn't it? Am I right about that? So it's like, so this just might be like a spy or an informant named Pabu who's on a spaceport who like I'm just saying, we can't go too far on the familial connection to the term here because we don't really have much to work on from it, do we?
True. You don't want to lean too hard into that. Yeah. If it does, then great. But Trucker Mark might be onto something. Sid could give up the batch now. Right? If there is a bounty or the Empire is searching and they've got a nice reward set up,
I'm with you, Trucker Mark.
She could at this point say, I'll take the money.
They've been telegraphing the story this whole season that she's going to screw them over and then make good. That's what it's going to be. Oh, I did this thing and now I feel bad because those guys were cool. And then she's gonna use her resources to break them out, and all will be fine. But that's where they're telegraphing that story. If they don't do it, I will be so surprised.
Jedi Jen says, "Yes, we can speculate irresponsibly. Go for it."
Yeah, go ahead. I'm not telling you can't. I'm just like
Jason's always ruins our fun. Right when we come up with a really good theory,
he's all about working models. I'm all about not working models. Those ones are.
Jason's like, I talk to folks. It's not true. It's not happening.
No. I don't know anything. I mean, other than that Death Trooper stuff, and that it ends with the summit, and I believe that the summit being the revelation of stormtroopers, and probably the Death Troopers at that point.
Yeah,
that's but like there was that moment, the big moment where Palpatine announces stormtroopers are going to be a thing, right? Essentially, and they don't play the Imperial March. Why did they hold the Imperial March back? Do the math. Because if they play the Imperial March when he says it, it's not as rock and roll when they show them at the end of the season, and then they play the Imperial March. That's my take.
Yeah.
It's a theory, but I believe I will probably be right on that one.
So this episode's called Pabu. What's the next one? Do you know?
I don't know.
Let me see. Bad Batch.
Sad Batch, Dad Batch, the Lab Batch.
Here we go. Star Wars News Net has it.
Lost Hatch.
Tipping Point. Tipping Point is the next one.
Just the tip. Right? Yeah, I know. It's frustrating. I feel you, bud.
Tipping point to me is probably the part involving Crosshair again. Just from what I know is happening over the next 2 episodes. If I were to guess, I would say tipping point is Crosshair trying to get a message to the batch. That's where you'll get Rex and Echo intercept that message and get it to the batch. The Empire intercepts that message. It doesn't even make its way out. So somebody would have to get word of it to get it to the batch. That could be Rex and Echo.
Yeah, that's what I think is good. That's what it'll be.
Yeah,
Paul asked Pabu, like the thing Grogu says. No, he says Patu. If it was Patu, then it would be like, oh man, we would have like, the Grogu speculation would be through the roof.
Yeah. So I think that Crosshair is going to try to get a message out. This I know, right? This I know. Crosshair is going to try to get a message to the batch. It gets intercepted, and his life is made worse. Right? Those things happen. When does it happen tonight? Does it happen next week? Tipping point would be my guess.
Tipping point.
It would lead us into the summit and Plan 99. And Pabu tonight could be where Sid sells out the location of the batch and Omega is captured. I don't know that Omega will be captured at all. But if she is, tonight would be a place where that could happen. I'll put it that way. That's all I can guess. Right? I know that's all I can guess.
With the just to go full pull out to where we won't get the answer to this season. Do you think that if the fact that there's that program in the data vault in Rogue One called Mark Omega, if that is connected to her, do you think that means that they eventually get her? They do get her blood? They do get the stuff to start capitalizing off of her biology?
Oh, I got distracted. Okay. I now know what happens tonight.
Okay.
I can't say. I've got to digest it.
I want to know. Tell us now. Aggressive negotiation.
I've got to ingest it. I've got to make sure that I can tell it in a way that's safe. Right? I don't want to.
Just let it go, man. Rip. If you have permission to go, you go, man. You can't.
Okay, I'll wait. I'll wait to get permission to go. All I know is I know what's happening. I don't have permission.
Don't batch cheese me. Don't batch cheese me on this show right now.
I was told
just the tip.
Obfuscate a little, but I have to go. All right. Okay. I need to obfuscate it just a little bit.
Okay.
It's going to be another batch mission tonight.
Okay.
And with what's her name? Wanda Sykes' character. Fee. Okay. It's a Bad Batch mission with Wanda Sykes. Wanda Sykes, it could be an ant-ish type character if you wanted to look at it like that. If Sid is there, Sid and Wanda or Fee have a friendship of sorts or a relationship. I don't know.
It's a Wanda Psych Out episode.
Yeah. I think we're going to be more informed. So you talk about an A line and a B line. The B line story will keep us informed what's going on with Crosshair. A line is the batch on their mission. Fee, fun, all of that.
Okay.
And that's all I'm going to say.
All right.
I'm going to share this last one that I just got to.
Darth Vader's in it?
Omega makes a friend.
Is it Hera?
She makes friends. Omega makes friends everywhere they go.
Is it Hera?
Right? A friend. No, no. No, not like a Harrison Dula type. No, it's like a local. They've been doing this all along, and I brought this up before, like in Harry Potter, right? Over the seasons, they make friends with some different characters along the way, be it the giants or the elves, the house elves, right? Or what have you. And we get to the final battle with Voldemort, and friends kind of come to the aid, right? So,
well, can you ask your source what's Pabu?
I know what Pabu is.
What is Pabu?
It's not Ant. It's also not the other thing.
what is Pabu? Tell us what Pabu is. What's Pabu?
I'm not telling you.
Come on.
I'm not telling you.
Tell us what Pabu is.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing
it.
No. It's not happening. I'm not giving it away. Yeah.
just let it be known what the difference between when me and Besping Bulletin have scoops and when this guy's got scoops, what the difference is. Just look at the difference. I'm just throwing it out here. I'm not saying.
I'm not a professional. I leave.
Apparently you are, because you are right now swilling the Bad Batch and then giving us just the tip.
I'm not telling you what Pabu means. I'm not telling you what it means. I know what it means, but I'm not telling you what it means.
Stupid. Tomorrow I'm roasting you. If it's like, it was a Ithorian kid who says hi.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Jason out, and I'm going to tell you guys what it is, and I'll bring Jason back. Pabu is a new planet. It's the name of a planet. Don't tell Jason. There you go.
So tell us what it is. Come on. You pop buster.
Don't tell Jason. Don't tell Jason. It's a secret.
No, never know. I didn't totally just hear it.
No, I took you off the stream. It's impossible. So much fun. Yeah, no, Omega. She's been making friends along the way. It makes sense she'd make another friend, and I think it would fit along the line where a big, the season finale or the big confrontation with Empire comes along, and they could call on their friends to help, right?
Yeah.
So very good. Space monkeys. How about space monkeys? You like space monkeys?
What?
Nothing.
You got space monkeys in this episode?
Yeah, space monkeys.
All right, I'm on board for that. So you're telling us Lasats are coming? Is what you're saying?
No,
that's what you said. That's what you said.
I said space monkeys.
Yeah, that's what a Lasat
monkeys
is.
In space, like space whales.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, except not in space.
All right, that's
space
fair.
monkeys. Space.
That's fair. Man, I wish I knew what Pabu means, though. I'm never gonna know now.
You'll never know. You'll have to watch tonight to find out. Maybe then you'll know.
I guess I won't. I guess I only have time for one show tonight because I get sleepy. So I was just gonna watch that one, and I'll watch Mando now because I gotta know.
Yeah, you'll have to watch Bad Batch to know what that means. Because now you're the only person that doesn't know. Or Meg. So, Meg, she's not with us. Don't tell Meg.
Yeah, Meg's sleeping right now. She's sleepy.
She is. All right. Well, Jason, this has been a ton of fun. This has been a ton of fun. Thanks for hanging out with me.
Of course.
Besping Bulletin. You guys go give Besping Bulletin a Ko-Fi. He likes the Ko-Fi. And
or me. Don't give it to him. Give it to me, and then I'll feed him.
You don't even have Ko-Fi.
I got Patreon. I got everything else though.
Yes. Make sure you follow Jason on all the things. We've got.
You could just tell me what Pabu means too. That would be a good tip.
No, don't tell Jason what Pabu means. It's secret.
You can't say it. Exclusive tonight's episode. Pabu means love.
It's a secret for Jason. He can't know.
Friendship that never dies.
I tell you what.
Family.
Are you doing a live stream with Rob here in a little bit?
I am.
Well, I'll tell Rob, but if Rob won't tell you.
No, Rob will forget. He'll be like, I don't even know what that is.
Besping says if you send him a coffee, he'll tell you what Pabu is. Thanks so much. Yeah, make sure you're following Jason on all the things. MakingStarWars.net, the Making Star Wars show on YouTube. You also have a podcast, don't you?
Yeah. The show comes out. Yeah, the Making Star Wars show comes out on all the podcast platforms. And
if you're one of his Patreons, you can get it through there, right? So make sure you do that. Please like the video, share it out, you guys. I miss getting to hang out with you all. I'll get my computer back next week, hopefully, and I'll be able to get back onto the streams. I've got work backed up, and I got to get that. We've got Bible study tonight. We're studying Revelation chapter 13.
Metal.
No, it's the number of the beast. That's 666.
Metal.
Yeah, that's tonight. That's tonight.
You guys, you should like. It would be cool, like if people came in, like the lights were, like you got some candles lit, and you're like, you got some like a little bit of metal playing, and you're like, all right, guys, ready?
No.
That'd be a cool Bible study. Though you're like, yeah, we're in Revelation tonight.
We have a Mike Porter dad joke.
All right.
What tasks does the giant creature from the mines of Mandalore do?
What?
He does the mythochores.
You got it, Mike Porter. You're on.
Mike Porter, the GOAT. Thank you, Mike. Mike's coming up on his big birthday celebration pretty soon. He's going to be 60.
60 years young.
Young, right? Mike Porter, the GOAT. You guys, thanks so much. Jason, thanks for hanging out.
Thanks,
and I'm going to try to do the live stream in the morning, the watch parties. Again, it'll be really early, like 6 a.m. Eastern for the Mandalorian, and then like 7:30 for the Bad Batch, and then I've got to work. And I don't know if I can get this whole thing working back here where you can see it. I don't know.
But you can take video of Santa from this and put him behind any kind of Pabu thing you want, because he's behind a blue. Well, I don't know what he was thinking on that one, but we're gonna have fun with it. I promise. I promise.
Don't show Mark. Whatever you do, don't show Mark. All right, you guys. Thanks for being here, and Jason, hang on. I'll tell you the rest.
All right.
Well, until next time, my friends. May the force be with you all, and Merry Christmas. Bye bye.